When I'm working at the table saw, I want to do so safely and accurately. So when I'm making cross cuts, I'm usually working with a Crosscut Sled. In fact, this very model. Now sure, you could use the miter gauge to make cross cuts, but I want to make the case for why you should have a sled for your everyday cross-cutting needs. Most of the time you think of a sled when you're working with wide panels or plywood pieces. With a small crosscut sled, you have some definite advantages. Now, unlike a regular miter gauge, when you're using a crosscut sled, the workpiece is fully supported. So it's held in place while you slide it into and across the blade. When you're working with a miter gauge, that piece can shift about on you. Another reason to use a crosscut sled is that it adds a measure of safety because you're supporting that piece. So whether I'm working with narrow pieces like you just saw, or wider stock for aprons, that piece is still supported and I have firm control of it throughout the cut. I can even use it for working with small parts because I can hold it down, I can keep my hands safely away from the blade while I make a cut and trim small amounts of material off of the workpiece. It'll even work with this size for plywood pieces, that I can still get a pretty decent size workpiece on there and make that cut. There are a couple of reasons why I have this particular crosscut sled in my home shop. One of the main reasons is that the base of it is made out of 1/2-inch Baltic birch plywood. That keeps the weight down and minimizes how much I'm losing from having to keep the workpiece on the sled. You'll also notice these long angled slots in there. Sure, it makes the sled look cool, but it cuts down on the weight of the sled, which means I'm more likely to pick it up off the wall and use it every day, instead of having a big bulky sled where you're less likely to want to use it. Along the back, the workpiece is supported by an aluminum angle fence. Again, the aluminum angle is pretty lightweight, so it keeps the overall sled weight down, but the aluminum angle is also going to be dead flat and straight. So when I'm making cuts, I know that they're going to be square right on the end. The sled features a large tapered handle on the back end so that I can keep one hand well away from the blade when I'm making a cut, but I'm also can use the fence itself to support my hands and keep them away from the blade while I'm making a cut. You can use the fence to attach a stop block, so all of your cuts are going to be consistent every time. On the bottom side of the sled, if I flip this over here, we've used a commercial miter gauge bar in there. It's made out of steel, so it's going to wear real well. And this one has little spring-loaded ball bearings in the side, and that's going to give you a snug fit in the miter track on your table saw. That means the sled isn't going to wobble about as you make a cut, and that increases your consistency and improves your accuracy. Overall, I think what you'll find with this particular sled is one that's going to carry you through all of your everyday cross-cutting tasks. Another benefit is when you follow the plans for it, you're actually going to make this sled a little bit extra long. So the first time you use it, you'll make a cut where the blade will trim the edge and create a zero clearance support surface on this side of the cut, which means that you're going to eliminate any tear out that you could get on the bottom edge of your workpiece. Crosscut sled like this one can be a big improvement over a miter gauge, and I hope it's a reason that you'll add one to your shop.
Woodsmithplans.com. Hundreds of professional, high-quality woodworking plans right at your fingertips. Every single plan is presented as an easy-to-download digital package that includes pages of step-by-step instructions, full-color photos, illustrations, and exploded views, retail sources for hardware and supplies, plus a cutting diagram and materials list. Many plans offer handy video overviews and guides. Plus, we're proud to offer our plans in both standard and metric. Everything is here, from gorgeous heirloom furniture projects to handy shop projects and upgrades, clever, cost-effective storage solutions, as well as weekend projects and accessories that are great for gifts. All fully searchable and categorized for easy browsing. Woodsmithplans.com, everything you need for building fine woodworking projects.